Two people already on, so welcome. You guys were waiting for me to go live. I appreciate it. Um, what happened this morning? Well, this morning was probably it was a good day. I got up. I had some conversations with some friends through Instagram. One of the connections that I did make, though, is Vera. So Vera has been on these live streams before. She may be on again today. I'm not sure, but she's in Germany. If you saw yesterday's video that I put out of the post crossing and direct swap mail that I received during the week, I received 3 cards from her yesterday. Good morning, Stephen. Welcome from Australia. So I wanted to talk about those cards a little bit. I didn't spend as much time looking at the details as I should have. One of the details, because Vera's in Germany, I just naturally assumed all the cards were from Germany, and I never looked at it. I mean, I looked at this. It says Liechtenstein on it, so clearly you can get a card from Liechtenstein, and I send cards from different places too that aren't necessarily where I'm from, so I kind of assumed that that's where it was. But if I was at all obvious, the stamp she sent, it says Liechtenstein right across the top. These beautiful stamps, all from Liechtenstein. So I wanted to apologize I didn't do that one. This one here was a little bit more obvious. She wrote something about double printing on this card, and I wasn't quite sure. So hello, Calico Heart in the UK. Welcome. But she sent this stamp from Liechtenstein, and she said it was double printed. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right down here, the original value of the stamp was 110. It's been overprinted with 250. So that was very interesting to see a modern stamp that had an overprint. Hello, Roger in Athens, Greece. Welcome. So yeah, I wanted to shout that out to Vera and thank her once again for those cards and the specialty that goes with the overprint that's on it, them being from Liechtenstein and not Germany, all those little mistakes. And I sometimes do that, especially in videos that I have a lot of mail. I don't, as I've said before, I don't write things down very much in my videos. It all just comes spewing out of my head, so you get the emotional side of what I'm thinking about too when I see things, and some things are for the first time if I'm opening an envelope or whatever have you. The other thing that I had a communication with this morning, if you saw this postcard, so Natasha Terratone is a musical artist. She put out a song about postcards, and my friend Emily, who's also in France, kind of coordinated with her, and so she sent me one of these cards. Now a bunch of people got these cards, and one of the things to do, hello Vera from Germany, we're just talking about you if you saw the first part and showed your postcards, so thank you so much for those cards from Liechtenstein and the stamps. Back to this. These cards were sent out around the world, I guess. I was lucky enough to get one of them, and part of the process is to take these cards to different places, take pictures of them, and then send them back so they can be put up on their Instagram pages or however they want to promote it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go around to different places here in Moncton and just around the area, and just send her as many pictures of this postcard in different places as I can. So I'm happy to do that. And if you get a chance to check out, you can scan that if you have it available. You can also go to all those different sites on there and listen to her music and give her some encouragement so she's getting back into it again. So that was something that I talked about this morning. Media is on from Finland, so welcome. Glad to see people are popping on and getting active right away with this. This is my favorite time slot to do lives. Noon here, it seems to work well for people around the world. I know, Stephen, you stay up extra late in order to be a part of it, and we appreciate that you do. And I want to say thank you, too, for all the information you put on videos. I got up this morning and I read all the different comments that you put on yesterday's video talking about the Russian language, which was very interesting, talking about the night markets in Taiwan, all the little extra things that you pick up seeing my postcards that I might not pick up. And I know other people read the comments too, and they really appreciate the extra detail you give in. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yes, Roger, we have booked our trip. We are going to go on a cruise, our very first cruise to celebrate my wife and I turning 50 this year. So it will leave from Venice It will have 2 stops in Croatia and then 2 stops in Greece, one of them being Athens. Now, I don't know if it will allow for us to get together. I certainly will um, reach out and let you know of a date or something. We'll try to figure out what can be done. I know our shore excursions and trips are very short sometimes, so uh, if it works out, great. We'll get a chance to meet. Maybe we'll meet at one of the touristy spots. I don't know, but yeah, if we can make it happen, we'll try to do it. What else that just jogs my mind of things? I will pick up the camera and go outside, show you how things are melting around here too. Just got a message from people that are watching through Instagram that are letting me know that they're on. So welcome to them. Specifically, I want to say welcome to Charmaine in Maine who is watching. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know some people watch on other devices that they can't leave comments. So yeah, I'm glad you're tuned in and watching either way. We're having some conversations between people on it, which is good. I think part of the people that tune in here is a great way for them to talk to each other. And maybe this is the only time they talk to each other through the week, other than maybe they exchange postcards. So I'm happy to facilitate that experience. So great. How good is my internet speed, Rob? I think my internet speed's pretty good here. I'm hoping you're not having any lagging or anything on your end, and no problems with the voice hearing it. It's hard to tell, but for my experience, the internet here is very good. Now, I do apologize once again last week when I was walking around the streets of Montreal and midway through my phone just died and got cut off. I did go back on later in the evening and do another little one just to say hi once again. But I think everything here for my internet should be all right. And like I said, I will go outside here in a minute just to show you what is happening. There's a little bit of snow left on the ground. So last Thursday it snowed here while I was in Montreal. I think they got about 15, maybe 20 centimeters of snow. And then since then it's kind of been mild or raining. So most of it has washed away. Roger says his is very good. That's good. I'm glad that you've got great internet. I'm glad everybody hopefully has good internet to hear what's going on. Calico Heart says, hi Rob, how does the post-crossing algorithm, because I don't understand, I seem to be ahead for some reason. So do you mean you've got more cards that are have been sent out than you've received? If that's true, I mean, it happens all the time. So yeah, it's just a matter of by the time those cards reach their destination and have been registered, then new cards will be sent to you. So the delay sometimes is in the postal system, which I apologize for being a member of the postal system. But yeah, sometimes it takes a while, or sometimes vice versa happens too. You get a whole bunch of cards in and you haven't sent out them, or they have yet to reach their destination, so your numbers get off. So I'm hoping that's what your question was about, Calico Heart, that it's just the postal system, how quickly things arrive at their destinations. Vera wants to know how many post crossers are here right now. Me, I'm one. I know Media is one as well. So yeah, there are a few post crossers on here. Right now, there's only 6 people showing on the live, so not a lot. Yeah, no problem, Calico Heart. And also, thank you, Calico Heart, for your comments about Paul Simon. So yesterday in my video, I started by saying I just finished watching the Stephen Colbert show on YouTube, which you guys can all find too. And he was interviewing Paul Simon, and it just brought back some great memories. And then Paul Simon explained the lyrics of one of his songs, Lorraine, which kind of hit me in a certain way too. And so I was glad to talk about that. And Calico Heart got a chance to go and watch that as well. Her and her husband are Paul Simon and Garfunkel fans. So yeah, it's nice to see that there's that connection out there, and what music can do. Certainly can give you an emotional response and take you to memories that you've had in the past too, of things you were doing when you heard that music once before. So I appreciate that, and I will respond to that comment that you left at some point in time when I probably off this live stream. I do like to go in whenever I get comments on my videos. I like to respond to them as quickly as I can. Sometimes, though, I read them when I first get up, and I don't want to respond to them then because I might be making all sorts of typing errors and things like that. Rob, you have to post a link to the post-crossing site under my videos. I could do that. It's pretty easy, though. It's postcrossing.com. I have mentioned in a few videos as I go through, sometimes I talk more about what post-crossing is about, because I know some people are finding my videos for the first time and have never heard of post-crossing before. And if they watch it without me explaining it, it's just me showing postcards. But also, I don't want every video be an advertisement for post-crossing and explain how it works every time, because I think people that are regulars will find that a bit monotonous. But I certainly could, in my description of my videos, I could always put in site postcrossing.com. So I will take that into advisement and add that in. That's a good idea. Media started postcrossing about 3 years ago during the pandemic. I think Media and I started around the same time. I know Jilly B from Jilly B Living Her Life Her Way, and I, if we didn't start the same day, it was within days of each other. So there are a few of us that all started around that same time. And I think the pandemic really helped for that. We were all looking for a connection. We weren't able to travel anymore, so post-crossing became a fabulous thing to try to link us all together. So I'd be interested to see from post-crossing what their membership was like, or what their active involvement was like during the pandemic, how it spiked, or if it spiked. Maybe I'm just making it all up, but I think there were a lot of us that found post-crossing for the first time during the pandemic. And you can see how you leave a comment, any one of you leaves a comment, and my mind just races towards that and spins off in another direction and talks about things. That's how these live streams tend to work. You guys steer the ship, whether it's by asking me questions or by making subtle comments that I can link something to. Regard, how am I today? I am doing well. I'm not sick. I don't feel sick in any way. I've got energy. Looking forward to getting a few things done today. Saturday is always a day we fill our cupboards back up, go to the grocery store, go to Costco, do that. One of the things we do have to do over this weekend, though, is get some pictures done, which means I have to shave because we need to update our passports. They will expire later this year, so I want to make sure that they are ready for our trip. Stephen says he's quite new to post-crossing, thanks to Rob. Well, I'm glad you found it through me, if that's how it was found. I recently bought some washi tape and some stickers, so it's getting a bit serious. Oh yeah, once you're into the washi tape and the stickers, you're in full bore now. You're already a stamp collector, so you already have stamps to send to people. Once you get your postcards and then start to decorate, you're in it for the long haul now. It is one of those hobbies that can get expensive if you let it get expensive. So Caroline in France, she has 100 slots that she can send. So she could send 100 cards out. And I know recently she posted that she was at her maximum. So that's quite expensive to send 100 postcards and keep them flowing all the time. And if you're putting full postage, you're lucky if you're in an area where the postage is a little bit cheaper if you're sending locally, but when you're sending internationally, yeah, it can add up quickly. Vera says she participates in the post-crossing forum, making direct swaps, talking about everything stamps, card related. The forum is fantastic. Nothing but good things to say about it. I don't participate in it just for the sheer cost of that. I've got, as you can see on my Friday, I have a lot of people that I direct swap with, and I try to keep up with my post-crossing, so I have most of my slots filled, if not all of them, each week. And so doing extra things up and above that in the forums, I have a hard time to do that. I have written some things and communicated with people that way, but I haven't done any more activities through it. We haven't talked about the weather yet, Media. She says it's 3 degrees and a bit rainy and foggy in Helsinki. Here it currently is 0, but it's going to go up to 8 degrees. It's nice out. I will show you. Stephen has been doing post-crossing for 8 months. All right, let's walk a bit. We'll go outside. You can see what the weather's doing. I'll throw on some shoes. That is way too close. I'll turn the camera around. All right, you can see there is grass and mud spots showing up in the lawn. There's a little bit of snow there. You can see the basketball net, still no better, hasn't come down yet. The mailbox has a little bit of snow where the plow has left it beside. Stephen says at 1:45 in the middle of the night, it's still 17 degrees in his part of Australia. Can't see the stars. UK cloudy, rating 10 degrees for Caligo Heart. So yeah, beautiful out. I'm in my short sleeve shirt. I can see some kids at the end playing in the roadway. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, they've got chalk out there. We're drawing things on the ground. And you look around. Mostly the snow that's left is right where the plow leaves it on the side of the road. In the lawns where the sun is beating down, it is disappearing. I could go down the side of the house real quick. Yeah, Vera, the forum is great for getting help and answering questions. Do like using it for that. Roger says it's 16 degrees in Athens. Overcast for me. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's clouds in the sky. You can see right there, it certainly looks like it's overcast, but I see blue sky peeking out all around. Tomorrow it's supposed to be a bit rainy. You can see my garden boxes are in bad shape. They probably need to be taken out, replaced. I also see some apples that have been left over from last season that are on the ground. I need to go and pick up all those rotten apples. They've been covered by snow and now showing. Grapevines, some of them need to be pruned back a little bit before the season starts. The raspberry bushes that are there and there have all been pruned back mostly. The apple tree is ready for a new season, kiwis, all that. I can walk back here without getting my feet wet, which is nice. Garden boxes that I built a couple years ago. I still need some things planted in some of them. You can see raspberries grow here. Vera says it's 12 degrees in Bavaria. A little bit of snow around the fire pit. And some of the wood piled up back there. This is a little bit squishy under the feet. Oh, I see swampiness there. So I am not going to go that way. Because I am in my son's Crocs right now. Ugly Crocs. And so if I step in that, my feet are going to be drenched. Steve said he had a couple hot days for this month in the 40-degree temperature, but mostly not too bad. February used to be the hottest month here, but is getting hotter later. Well, that's why, because you're in summer now, so you're slowly moving towards fall as we're moving towards spring. I'm curious to see what the weather's going to be like here this summer. Last summer, it was rainy for my part of Moncton, and we did have some warm days, but it was pretty wet summer. There were other areas that were close by that had forest fires and all sorts of stuff going on. So I'm very curious to see what this year will bring. There, we're back out front. We'll head back towards the office. And for those of you who are getting motion sickness, we can fix that. Back again. Yeah, 40 degrees is warm. I'm sure for Great Britain it's very warm. It does hit that every once in a while here. Certainly with the humidity. There. Fix my socks, I'm back in. Just to show you, Vera, if you hadn't watched from the beginning, there's your cards. So I will put those with the Liechtenstein rather than with my German. All right, what else? We've done our weather update. You guys have all participated in that. Oh yes, let's talk about the question of the month. So, Stephen is in Australia, yes. Question of the month. So for the month of March, I asked, what do you collect? So I have had one card show up from Helsinki, from Media. She sent this card. I won't show you the answers and things. We'll save that for the first Saturday in April. But I've also heard some others that have sent cards in, so I'm hoping they will arrive in time. We've got a couple more weeks before the first Saturday of the next month. So if you want to participate, feel free. Yeah, we will have to start looking at what next month's question will be soon. Things that have come and gone already. Stamp versus Stamp, which is a program that I do with Snail Mail with Smokey in Wisconsin. We put out a video on that. We try to be a little bit quirky and talk about stamps at the same time, so hopefully you got a chance to check that video out. My stamp of the month this month was about the Penny Black, the very first adhesive stamp, so hopefully you got a chance to look at that, see the history there, and that always has a connection, or currently has a connection with Liverpool Stamps, and they give a discount on stamps that have to do with the Penny Black this month. So that's out there to watch. All my videos that I did in Montreal, if you're curious to see what downtown Montreal looks like and some of the food that my daughter and I experienced while we were there, I did a video on that too, or a couple videos on that actually. Very, you can send the biggest card that you want. Oh, speaking of big cards, I talked about this in yesterday's video. These are all the really long cards that I got in Montreal over a period of time. This is all that I have left actually now. But last time I got my daughter to go into the shop that I found these cards. They sell them for 25 cents each. And so I gave her $20 before Christmas and said, go in and buy me 80 cards. She did that. Or actually, it was earlier than that, Christmas. It was in the summer. And so I went back to that same shop this time around. They said they threw them all out. They had 40 cases of these cards in their basement. They were taking up way too much space. So they decided they'd just throw them out. Took them 3 weeks to throw them all out. Oh, I wish I had given them my information last time I was in there. Or, you know, I would never knew that they would do something like throwing out all the postcards. But it would have been nice to get them for free if they were throwing them out anyways. What else we said? Roger says he's seen a new video from Graham, his last mail one, unfortunately. I'm not sure who Graham is. You'll have to let me know who that is. Yeah, those cards, give you an idea. Postcard. A lot bigger. I love these cards because I cover the back in stamps whenever I use them. I use older stamps and send them to stamp collectors and people who get a kick out of them. Go back here. Have I picked up some ad cards in Montreal? No, this past trip I didn't spend any time really looking for postcards. Like I said, I did go into that one shop just because of the price of the cards, and was dismayed to hear that they threw them all out. But other than that, no, I wasn't looking for postcards really this trip. It was more about spending time with Dea. Stephen knows who Graham is too. I don't know who Graham is. Media is on her winter holidays vacation next week, so enjoy those. She's going to be watching World Figure Skating on TV from Montreal, Canada. Anybody else who's interested in figure skating, leave a comment on there too. I guess the prices are quite expensive to go see them at the Bell Center in Montreal. Exploring Stamps is the name of Graham's channel. Okay, I'll have to look at checking it out. So has he stopped doing the channel completely, or has he stopped talking about postcards? I'm curious. Interesting. Vera says that some friends send messages over 2 or 3 cards and they don't arrive on the same day, so had to wait for days to read the messages in order. Yeah, that'd be hard to. Oh, Vera loves figure skating as well. I've done similar things, not recently. I used to, when I was in university, I had a friend who was going to university in Manitoba. And so we would write letters back and forth, and I would try to make the letters different every time. Now, I don't know if I could necessarily do that with post crossing. I certainly couldn't do some of the things. One of the things I did, and I did this for my daughter too last year when she was starting her first year university, I wrote a letter out and then I cut it all up into little pieces and put it in the envelope. So she had to put it all together. It took her and her friends some time to, I wrote on both sides of the page so you didn't know which side you were putting together. It took them quite a while to put the message back together. I've also written it so it's kind of in circular patterns, so it's not always the same. Just try to have fun with letter writing. So I don't know if I could do that with post crossing. I couldn't cut up a postcard and put it in a. I could, but I don't think the person would appreciate it. I have had, Mary actually does this sometimes. She puts in multiple cards in an envelope, and then on the back of each card, so the message continues that way. But then I get the messages all at the same time. Oh, okay. Graham used to get mail and show what mail he got because he closed his P.O. box. All right. I don't know if I'd have a channel very much if I closed my P.O. box. I like it so much getting mail from people, especially unexpected mail. People that just write in to say, I like watching your channel, or I started post crossing because of watching your channel. Yeah, I love getting those type of cards just randomly show up in my mailbox. Thank you so much, Calico Heart. You seem like a good dad. I try to be. Parenting, as many of you probably know, is not always the easiest thing to do. And watching your children grow up and mature and make their own decisions, you just hope that you've given them the basis for them to do the right things and keep themselves safe. And as long as they make choices that make themselves happy, that's all you hope for in the end. Stephen is also interested in figure skating. He says he thinks he'd kill himself if he was on ice skates. He's tried roller skating once and that was not pretty. I'm trying to think if I've ever been on roller skates. Maybe when I was younger. Ice skates, yes. We don't tend to call them ice skates here. We just call them skates. I guess we assume that it's like hockey. We call it hockey. We don't call it ice hockey. We call it field hockey, but here are the things we think of naturally. Hockey is played on ice. Skating is done on ice, so we don't add in the word ice here in Canada when we talk about those things. Yeah, I do really enjoy sending and receiving mail. So I get a kick out of my Sunday videos showing you the profiles that I've picked or the cards that I'm going to send out to my friends. Yeah, I really like that. I like the fact too, the ones that I'm showing you, they're going to my friends. I don't tell you which friends they're going to. One that they can be surprised to. And there's kind of an inside monologue that I have too, knowing that this card that I'm showing is going to so-and-so and that they're probably watching this video right now. So yeah, I do like that. Mitty is putting me on the spot and asking if she says she hopes Piper and Paul win the gold. Do you know, Rob, who they are? The answer is no, I don't. I don't know a lot about figure skating. You have taught me so much more about figure skating, and you let me know who's going. I couldn't tell you Canadian figure skaters right now or Finnish figure skaters. If you give me a name, I wouldn't know the difference. The most educated I feel about figure skating is when the Olympics happen, because national media talks about those sports more. don't really get talked about a lot. Even now, like curling is huge in Canada, and there are lots of people like my in-laws that watch it whenever it's on TV. I don't watch it unless it's in the Olympics. When the Olympics are on, I'm cheering for Canada in curling and figure skating and bobsledding and luge and skeleton, all these things that I'm not watching. I do watch during the Olympics. Calico Heart says, oh, we're talking to Stephen. Okay. Hi to Marie. Welcome. Nice to have you. I think you are the first, well, no, not the first, because Charmaine said she was watching too, but one of the first Americans that have spoken up at least to say that they're watching right now. So welcome. Calico Heart says she likes watching me decorate the cards. I'm glad you do. I always feel a bit not nervous about it, but wondering how many people actually enjoy watching me rip and put washi tape on and stickers and pick stamps, and there are some people I guess that do, so that's who I do those videos for. My Canadian ice dancers are Gilles and Poirier. Are they contenders? Are they doing well? Souvenir stamps. I love souvenir stamps. Yeah, I like all things that have to do with stamps. I don't spend, like Steven I know collects mint and exclusively mint. If I get mint in my collection, I feel lucky to do it. I don't go and buy a lot of stamps. I do buy stamps. I'm going to be showing you these ones upcoming soon. They're the Eclipse stamps. I do buy those so I can send them off on postcards, and so I can do videos showing what new releases come out. I do get the first day covers at the end of the year, so I can show you that. We have the full albums that my father started collecting that I continue to get those too for his collection, and I show you those. What do we got here? Stephen says, Vera, do you mean the commemorative stamps such as the dinosaur stamps that were issued by the UK on Tuesday, which are great stamps? If you haven't seen those, Jilly B Living Her Life Her Way did a video on those showing the stamps on the postcards. Pert Fan says, if you could design your own pictorial postmark to represent your local post office, what would it look like? My local post office. Well, local post office, most of the local post offices are in pharmacies. Like we have stores called Shoppers Drug Mart or Jean Coutu, local or grocery stores called Sobeys. A lot of post offices are in those. We have one corporate post office in the city. I've shown it in a few videos, I think, in the past. It's on our St. George Street. It's also where my P.O. box is. But if I was going to do a pictorial cancellation, what I would do is I'd have a throwback to the old post office building. If I could throw a picture up here, I would. But let me just, maybe I can do it a different way while I talk about it. I'll bring it up on the computer. Moncton has this in our downtown. We have this really nice stone building. It used to be the home of our post office back in the day. That's where I used to go on my bicycle and pick up local stamps and things. So I probably would use that as the postmark, even in our local thing, just because it would signify Moncton so much. I hope I can bring that up while I'm looking at it. Calico Heart wants to know what my favorite sport is. I'd like to say hockey. It used to be my favorite sport. I used to watch it all the time. A big Montreal Canadiens fan. But I find myself, especially with my son's interest in basketball, I watch basketball a lot more. I'm a New York Knicks fan. But my number one sport's got to be baseball. I'm a New York Yankees fan, as you can tell. I get excited when the season's about to start. It's a long season. I like the statistics that go along with it. Yeah, baseball's probably my number one sport. Hockey, I used to be able to name all the players on all the teams. I've kind of fallen out of that because in our households, my son doesn't like hockey. He likes basketball. So we ended up watching a lot more basketball, and the seasons run together at the same time. All right, let's see if I can get Moncton Post Office. Got a picture there while that's coming up. Anne-Marie says I have a weakness for vintage stamps. Love vintage stamps, so yeah, that's a good weakness to have. Lydia says it could help that the Worlds will be in Canada, so if Gilles and Poirier skate as well as they can, I think they could win or finish second. Okay, who is their competition? If they finish second, who is the team they're out there to beat right now? Images here. Yeah, Calico Heart, your old stone walls, Loads where you live. Great Britain, your history of buildings and architecture makes ours look feeble. Because I'm not going to say our history of the country is young, because the Aboriginal people have been here a long time, but buildings that Europeans brought here and constructed here, of course, are much younger than what you have there. Gotta go back and read some of these messages. Oh, you've never heard of post offices inside other businesses? Yeah, we had a big. Oh, here I found the image. Just open this up here, or flip this around. Maybe. Come on. Here. Whoop. Come on. I'm gonna lose it now. Have to wait till it comes back again. Yeah, what was I talking about? Talking about businesses inside of businesses. Yeah, the federal government wanted to reduce costs in the postal system, so rather than owning a whole bunch of businesses, they decided they would sell the buildings that they used to have for other things, and that other companies could rent to have spaces where P.O. Box would come and the people would collect their mail and buy stamps. The reason for that is they thought that it would generate more business for them to have little post offices in it. So that's what they did. All right, here's the picture. This is the building that used to house the post office in Moncton. So I think that would make a great cancellation. It doesn't look like that anymore, unfortunately. But it's a great building. It still stands downtown. This is what the post office looks like now. Not quite as impressive. Looks like a standard post office you'd see anywhere, but that's our corporate post office. Thank you for the internet. What else did I miss here? Stephen says in Port Lincoln, where he lives, the postmarks would have to be a tuna in the design as the main industry here, or a shark. That's also a popular thing for people to do in a cage. Yeah. I like sharks. I don't know if I'd go down in a cage to see them, though. They have their home, I have my home. Let's just keep it at that. Okay, there was a U.S. couple that won dance last year, so they're a main couple. It's always Canada and the U.S. and things. I would expect that it would be. Well, are the Russians at the Worlds this year, Media? Are they allowed to participate? Let me know. So Roger said, Happy Names Day for tomorrow. Patrick, Patricia, Pat, 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Yes, it is. So those of you who celebrate will be donned in green, I am sure. Calico Heart says they do have post offices inside other businesses in the UK. Boy, I missed a lot of things while I was jammering on. Right, Marie, happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. Calico Heart, nice building, Rob. Yeah, I like some of those older buildings that are around. In Moncton, we don't have as many as we used to. We used to have a fire chief who was an arsonist. I guess it was good job security. So we had a lot of our older buildings have burnt down over the years. And Media answers the question, no Russians at the Worlds of Figure Skating. So they're always top-notch teams usually when they're participating. All right, I'm back to current questions and responses here. Change the setting on my screen. Arsonist firefighters, yeah. They do exist. How are things in Colorado? What's going on? That's a shame. Steven says the last time he was in the UK, 10 years ago, had a hard time finding post offices, and when they did, they didn't sell stamps, just printed labels. Oh, you gotta. Charmaine says she has to go, so she says goodbye to everybody. You don't see that in the comments. She sent it through Instagram here. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. How does Magnetic Hill work? You want me to divulge the mystery of Magnetic Hill? This card I will take to Magnetic Hill and get a picture there. But the long and the short of Magnetic Hill, you take your car, you drive to the bottom of the hill, you pull over to the left-hand side of the road, and you put your car in neutral, and the car gets pulled back up the hill, and you can see the water of the little stream that runs alongside it, and you can see the water looks like it's going in reverse too. So yeah, that's the illusion of Magnetic Hill, that you drive to the bottom of a hill, a car in neutral, and it gets pulled right back to the top. It's quite an interesting experience to do it. There is an optical illusion to it. That I'll let you know. That's how it works. Okay, I had heard that you got snow. Charmaine, actually, who just left, let me know. She's originally from Colorado as well. That they'd gotten a bunch of snow in Colorado. So you got about a foot of snow. So hopefully it will melt away quickly. If it's much like the snow that we got here last week, you can see that it's almost all gone now. By next week, if nothing else changes in the forecast, it'll be all gone. Stephen is just saying the differences of different places he visited in the UK trying to find post offices. My pleasure, Calico Heart. But if you ever come to Moncton, you should try it. It's interesting. Media said something and then it disappeared. So I didn't retract it, she did, I guess. If you're seeing that message along the bottom. I think sometimes too, when you type your messages, if you make spelling errors, that's one of the reasons why you might retract your message. Or if it was something that maybe someone answered, you asked a question and it got answered by someone else. Ida Marie says, in DC in the 70s, the flowering trees are their best. Now, do you mean in the temperature of the 70s, or do we have to go back to the 1970s to see these flowering trees, Ida Marie? Because if we've got to time travel, I don't think I can do it. In DC, do you have cherry trees, or are they just regular blossoms on trees? What kind of trees are blossoming? I know when I lived in Vancouver, around this time of year, the cherry trees start to blossom, and it is spectacular. It's also one of the things I would love to do if we ever get to Japan and go to Kyoto and see the cherry blossoms there as well. Family photos? Not having family photos done. I did say I need to shave because my wife and I need to have our passport photos done. We have to update our passports. They expire this year. And with us going on a cruise in the fall, we will need to make sure that our passports are up to date. And I don't really want to have a picture taken with this scruff. So it's time to shave before I do that. So media is the same thing in Finland, I guess, is that a lot of postal counters are inside other shops. I think it is a way, and I don't know if maybe the US will do that eventually, but a way to keep costs down. Don't own a whole bunch of buildings that you got to maintain heat for and keep up cleaning of and stuff like that. You can put a postal counter and hire other people's employees to run it. All the post office has to do is stock it with stamps and boxes and things like that. It's way cheaper for the post office that way. Yeah, passport. Some beautiful cherry blossoms and magnolias and dogwoods in the cherry trees blossom. A gift from Japan. Oh, okay. The cherry trees are from Japan. All right. I've been to Washington, D.C. once. I was going to West Virginia on a mission trip when I was in high school. It was a church trip. We were going to help do construction to help impoverished people rebuild their houses. We stayed in an old school, and so we stopped in D.C. on our way down, and we slept in a church there. That was our accommodations. I didn't get to do a lot of things, like I've never been to the Smithsonian. We didn't get to walk on the Washington Mall. We got to drive through, and we stayed at the church, and then we drove through again. So we got to see some of the downtown through the windows of a bus. And I think we got to walk for one little period of time, but definitely have to go back. So it sounds like Calico Heart, a similar type thing. They had a big, beautiful post office, but they've kept the building. But the post office is in a restaurant now. I've never had a post office in a restaurant before, so that's new. We do have some small communities that people have the post offices in their houses, though. So that does exist in smaller rural communities. Usually the house of the mail carrier, that's who, in the really small communities, that's who has it. So when the mail gets delivered to them, they also have the little post office. But that's a very small community that has that. Other ones have normal corporate buildings like the one I showed you of our downtown. There are quite a few of those dotted around the landscapes, but in cities where you would need multiple post offices, there's usually one corporate one, and then the rest of them are in stores. Stephen, sounds like you had some difficulty finding stamps when you were in the UK, at least from a post office. Falada Lovely, welcome. Thank you for loving the channel and tuning in. I'm glad that you like it. And days like this, tuning in, seeing all the people that are participating and the conversations they have amongst themselves, as well as the positive feedback they give me, it shows exactly why I have this channel. You guys are fantastic to me. You support me through comments on this, tuning in and watching videos, leaving comments, leaving likes, sending me postcards, sending stamps that I get a chance to talk about. It's all about the community's participation that makes this channel stronger. Ida Marie says that her central post office used to be 24 hours a day. Now it's regular business hours, 7 days a week. You're lucky you've got 7 days a week. Our corporate post offices run Monday to Friday only. There is no weekend mail delivery here. You can go into a business post office and get stamps on the weekend. So that's at least gives you an opportunity that way. But where delivery is only Monday to Friday. Steven says his old post office is being converted into a hotel. I love at least that they keep some of the buildings. I've been into some, like our old post office now is just a federal government building. So there are mail slots, the old copper mailboxes and things like that. They still exist around. Some of the old metal wickets exist, but they've all been repurposed for other things. Falada Lovely, I'd like to look at what your channel's all about. I'll have to check it out. It's very possible that we could do a crossover. I always like promoting things, so if your channel is in line with what my channel's about, I'm sure we could arrange something. You should send me a message through Instagram. So I'm that dad guy 1974 on Instagram, and that way we can chat about it. Also, give me the link to what your channel, how I can find your channel on YouTube. Yeah, it's been growing quickly. So in October of last year, I hit 1,000 subscribers. Now I'm at just over 1,300. So I love to see that more people are finding on it and they're really enjoying it. Thank you, Calico Heart. I appreciate the positive feedback. Ida Marie's local post office is 7 days a week. Lucky. Hello, hello. How are you, Alexandria? And of course, Stephen can respond in kind, having all his languages. All right, Falada Lovely, send me a link on it and we'll chat. If you're all into stamps and collecting and things like that, I'm sure that we could try to figure something out. Try to figure out how I'd be on your channel. That's be interesting to see. But I'm all for promoting other people's channels if they're in line with what I do. And if you're already at 620 subscribers, you're growing. You're doing well. Yes, she's in Washington, D.C. She's in the American capital. Or the capital of the United States of America. That sounds like a good story, Alexandria. Weather here is going well. Same thing. Snow's melting away. Spring is coming. Ida Marie says she thinks she's seen Falada Lovely on Facebook. All right, John, I just got your message saying that you're following me on Instagram. As soon as I'm done with my live, I'll connect with you that way and see what we can do. It's nice for the messages popping up at the top of the screen, letting me know what's going on. So I do have people on Instagram that send me messages that way too. So it's a good way to communicate back and forth. No worries. I look forward to seeing what you have, John, and what sort of things you're doing with stamps. Alexandria has a bunch of things to do when it comes to postcards. Sounds like she's got a lot of things waiting. Calico Heart, what's my favorite season? Probably fall. I do love summer. There are days in the summer, though, that get incredibly hot and you just don't go outside, where in the fall you can have nice warm days, still in the mid 20s, and the leaves haven't quite changed completely yet. So early days of fall is probably my favorite season for getting out and doing things. That's why the cruise that my wife and I are going to do is going to be at the start of September, end of August. So it's kind of that end of summer, start of fall, which we have been warned it still may be very hot in the area we're going to, but we will prepare for it. Alexandria, yes, DC does have two connotations, so not only District of Columbia, but with the superhero comic book world, DC and Marvel. I hope it's a good time to go on a cruise. We've never been on a cruise before, so it is going to be a new experience for us. But I really wanted to get to see Dubrovnik in Croatia. My wife talked about going to Croatia, and we'd never been to Greece before, so it was nice that it hit both those places. Flata Lovely. I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not seeing your account there. I've got a little bit on TikTok, but I don't do very much. Whereabouts in the world are you, John? Where are you based? Most of my social media is Instagram and YouTube. Calico Heart, is autumn your favorite season as well? I didn't say I like DC better than Marvel. I'm not sure. When it comes to comic books, both have great characters. Probably would lean more towards Marvel though than DC. Be my guess. Flata Lovely's in the UK. Okay, thanks, John. Did you ever watch John Collect Stamps? I know it's completely different and he's no longer with us anymore, but he is my connection with the word John and stamps, so I think that's who I think of. Vera wants to know if you're a post-crosser as well. It's a nice combination, a crossover between postcards and stamps, of course. Ida Marie's been to Croatia before and loved it, so that's good to review. Stephen has watched some of your videos, John, on YouTube. Calico Hearts had a friend that's gone to Croatia and loved it. That's good. John is on Post Crossing. That's good. The Vera's collecting all the names to see who's on Post Crossing. That's good. I can see who's active and who's not. Oh, you've got a Patreon account. I've never gotten into that yet. I don't know if I will or not, but I find enough time creating content for my regular YouTube. I can't imagine if I had to create extra content for a Patreon page. Ida Marie bought a beautiful coral necklace when she was in Croatia. When will I be in Croatia? I'll be in Croatia at the start of September. I think a lot of us are both post-crossers and stamp enthusiasts, at least on my channel. And maybe there's been some crossover, some people that were stamp collectors that heard about post-crossing and have joined that way, as Stephen mentioned he had. So yeah, the two hobbies go hand in hand. The only downside about stamps and post-crossing is that if you get a postcard, do you tear the stamp off? Do you soak this? I can't. You can't tear up the postcard. So even as much as I'd love to have the stamps that are coming on the postcards, it's better when they come on envelopes, because then on an envelope I get to keep the postcard intact, and then the envelope I can use the stamps for the collection. And John, you'll have to send me a message of what you kind of envisioned you'd like to do as a crossover video, or how we could work together. What do you envision happening? Yeah, there are people out there that collect fountain pens too that could go hand in hand, and the sticker enthusiasts and the washi tape, and yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can have collectors. That was one of the reasons why this month's question is, what do you collect? Because I know if you collect one thing, you tend to collect more than one thing. Yeah, Calico Heart. We're in accordance there that the stamp and the postcard kind of stay together. All right, we'll look into it, John. Figure out how we can do that interview. Ida Marie collects vintage mail. So you like postcards that have already been written on, or do you just like old letters that are in envelopes? What is vintage mail to you? Unless you've already put that in a postcard and you send it to me for my monthly question, then you don't have to answer. You can leave it as a surprise and we can talk about it then. Little things that are popping up. Are they smiley faces? Both old letters and old postcards. Okay. Yeah, I think these live streams are perfect for everybody getting together, and you know, we've met John now today. He's a new one to the group. I'm glad. Hopefully, he's a subscriber and he joins the live streams in the future, and maybe our channels work together. There could be a bunch of different things to do. But yeah, meeting new people, getting together every Saturday, and talking with the same friends that collect and have common interests, I think is a fabulous way to do this. I just become the facilitator at this point in time. It's less about me answering questions like I used to. I still am answering them as you guys pop them up, but it's more about us all getting together and chit-chatting for an hour, or a little more than an hour, I see now. There we go. Roger's also watching John's channel. He's in Greece. Wow, that is very specific. You collect Zeppelin mail. How do you determine whether or not a letter has been sent by Zeppelin? Is there a special postmark on that? Here, you can educate us all, or educate me at least. Yeah, an hour goes so quickly. It's amazing. I think it wasn't last week. Last week I was in Montreal when I did the live, so as you know, that had some issues. But I think the week before we went almost an hour and a half chit-chatting, and not getting too many trolls coming through, which is nice. Ida Marie knows Cheryl Gans, who's a retired postal worker and a curator, who's an expert at it. So do you buy your vintage mail off eBay, or how do you get your vintage mail? Just find them in thrift shops? So yes, there's a special postmark for Zeppelin mail. I haven't seen anything flown on the Hindenburg that she can afford. How many trips did the Hindenburg make before it caught on fire? You get most of your Zeppelin mail on Etsy, okay? Item where gets her vintage mail through stamp shows. At the last stamp show I went to, I wasn't able to go last week's because I was away, but the month before they certainly had vintage postcards and some vintage letters there too, as I recall. Thank you once again, Calico Heart. Well, if you wanted to show the fabulous postmarks, you can always send me a message through Instagram and send me the pictures that way. That's probably the best way to do it. Otherwise, you're just sending an email and send the pictures that way too. I find Instagram messaging is a lot quicker though. So as you know, I'm That Dad Guy 1974 on Instagram. Yeah, Zeppelin mail sounds fascinating. I don't need any more things to collect though, but I certainly would talk about it. It would be an interesting topic. Yeah, you could have an Instagram account just about Zeppelin mail. And Aaron, maybe we need to talk more about that, and that could be a topic. We could have vintage mail talks with Ida Marie, and we could have Zeppelin mail talks with Aaron. Well, once again, the conversations we've had, the topics we've covered in this last hour and a bit have been all over the place and new and surprising. I've learned some new things today too, so thank you so much. And we've met some new people and connected with others as well. Very fun topics. There's always someone who has something new to say. Mrs. Rob, she would want to be called Mrs. Rob. My wife's name is Shanda, and Shanda is not a post-crosser, no. No, she's not into stamp collecting. She's not into postcards. She's not into a lot of hobbies, typically. But she has been supportive. She made that, or had that sign made up there for the office. My That Dad Guy shirt that I wear from time to time, she had that made for me at one Christmas. When I say I'm going for to do live streams, she doesn't get the shower going or start the dishwasher or do anything in the background. So she's very supportive in many different ways. She does not like to be on camera though, so you don't see her very often. Sometimes she pops up in a video because I scan the camera that way or something like that. But even our trip to our cruise, I said I'm going to be doing some filming while I'm there. I want to film the ship that we're on. I want to film some of the location. She's all about that. She just asked that she's not in the videos. How do you spell Shanda? S-H-A-N-D-A, not C-H. S-H-A-N-D-A. The story behind that name too, it's an interesting one. So my wife and I both born in 1974 when my in-laws were going to be at the hospital and giving birth, and they kind of picking out the name for what their daughter was going to be called. And the story is that my father-in-law was reading a magazine and it had Mr. Lear of Lear Jets was in it, and he had a daughter, and he named his daughter Shanda, so she would be Chandelier. And my father-in-law liked the name Shanda, so that's how she became Shanda. Shanda, yeah. So you can see in my family, my wife is Shanda, my daughter is Dea, my son is Ari, and I'm Robert. So I am the one with the weird name in the family. But They're all very unique. They're not easy names to find. If you go into a tourist spot and you look for the keychains that have everybody's name written on it, you can find a Robert. You generally can't find the other three. But it also gives them their own uniqueness. They didn't have to go to school with other people with their same names. My name in the 1970s, there were tons of Roberts around, so you ran into other ones. Ida Marie comes from a family that has a variety of names. I think it's good. My name, Robert, yes, it's been passed down. That was my father's middle name. It was my grandfather's middle name. It is my son's middle name. So we've kept that tradition of passing the Robert down. But other than that, their names are unique to themselves. There you go. If you've lasted this long into the video, you've just learned something new about me that maybe you wouldn't have. I know a lot of people, when they tune into these videos after the fact, they get 15, 20 minutes in and then they give up. So if they've lasted this long, they just learned something new. All right, Vera, thank you so much for joining, and go enjoy making your postcards. We'll chit chat here next Saturday if you're around, or if I get a chance to go on the Post Crossing forum, maybe I'll see you there. Also on Instagram, all sorts of great ways to communicate. I really appreciate it. Ari is a bit of Greek from Aristotle. Maybe it's not how he's spelled. He's Arye. It's Hebrew. It means lion. Not that we're Jewish, but we got our kids' names from a great book of baby names, and it just happens that the two names that we liked for our children both were Hebrew names. Dea, D-A-I-A, is what is it? I'm having a bird of prey. That's what it means. Bird of prey. Bird of prey and lion are their two names. Ida Marie is named after her grandparents. Oh, you couldn't find any Robert stickers? Okay. Kylie's Jenna. Okay, well, these are more. Jason's not a modern name, but Kylie certainly is a bit more modern name. Calico Heart remembers the Kylie Jason craze. When I think of Kylie, I think of Kylie Jenner. So I don't know if that's where it's from, but or how far back it goes. I think some of the old-fashioned names are coming back. I hope gone are the days when people are calling their children after fruit and common things sometimes like that was movie stars were doing that all the time. I felt bad for the children that were going to grow up with the name of a fruit. But to each their own, I guess. And Media worked with 4 people with her name. Lily Rose, that's a old-fashioned name. Both of them are, actually. Oh, Kylie Minogue, yes, of course, that Kylie, yeah. Jason Donovan. Okay. It wasn't too long ago I featured a stamp, or not featured, but had a stamp that was given to me. It was from neighbors. Maybe that was one of the ones that Stephen sent. No, John, your name is a bit more common as well, just like Robert. Gary from the West Coast of Canada, or West Coast of the United States, West Coast of what country are we talking about? If you're the West Coast in North America, then it's still a little early for you, so welcome. Ah, Surrey, BC. I know it well. I used to live in Langley. My wife and I bought our first house in Langley, British Columbia. Roger said his name came from his grandfather on his Greek side, Anthony. He was married to a Russian aristocrat. Roger is just the middle name, so my name is Anthony Roger. There are quite a few people that go by their middle names rather than go their first names. But good to know that you are an Anthony. Do you ever go by Tony? Stephen apologizes for the soap opera Neighbors. I got the Fleetwood area, okay. Up by the mall. I've never seen Neighbors. I've heard of it, but I've never hasn't crossed its way into Canada. We certainly see lots of different British television. But if Neighbors is Australian, we never got it. So Gary, what do you do in the Fleetwood area? This is where I wish you guys could actually be talking here and I could hear your pronunciation. Because Roger, I don't know how I would pronounce your mother's name. It's not Thetis, is it? Thank you, Tyrone. And to you? Tyrone, did you just send me money? Well, thank you. That's a first for me. I've never had anybody never sent. I don't even know how you do that. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Where are you from, Tyrone? I assume you're from the United States. 100%. All right, cool. What part of the U.S. are you from? So, Stephen, you're a displaced person then if you sound like you're English, but you live in Australia? Tyrone's from Arkansas. Cool. The home of Renee Lewis. Do you ever watch Renee Lewis on YouTube? She's also a university professor in Arkansas. And of course, your old president, Bill Clinton, was also from Arkansas, as I believe. Accents are cool. Sorry, Tyrone, I was just looking to see. I'm flummoxed that you would send me money. So, thank you so much. Really, your grandfather used to go jogging with Bill Clinton before he was president. That's an interesting connection. But I guess Bill was famous for him running around and going to, well, that I didn't mean it in that direction. They went running around, but he used to go to jogs and end up at all sorts of different fast food places in Washington, D.C. Calico Heart wants to know where Tyrone's name originally came from. Ida Marie saw Bill Clinton's daughter at a book talk last week. Yeah, Bill Clinton had a lot of things going on in his life. So Tyrone, how did you find me? You're new to the channel as far as I can tell. So I'm happy to have you here. Bill Clinton has a son out his way that looks just like him. I don't know much about the Clintons as far as Hillary and Bill, how many children they had. I remember the daughter when he was president. I don't remember any of his other children, though. Gary Robinson says his wife and he were in New Brunswick a few years ago, but only got as far as Moncton. Well, that's as far as you need to go, and then PEI. I'm glad you made it to Moncton. Hopefully, while you were here, the weather was good, and you got to experience some interesting things. Yeah. And if not, come on back. Come back and visit and see some more stuff here in New Brunswick. All right. Tyrone, well, welcome. Oh, when the son was not with Hillary, someone before. Okay. Roger says he was born in Hampton Court. Is Hampton... Were you born in Hampton, UK? Hampton... I assume there's no Hampton in Greece. Yes, Gary, if you're ever here at Hopewell Cape, going to see the rocks, both at low tide and high tide, walking along the basin is worth it. Going to Fundy National Park and seeing the parks down there is great. Doing Magnetic Hill when you're here. Yeah, there are lots of things around. Lots of things in nature, too, to see. Ida Marie, Chelsea, author, and works on... Chelsea's an author and works in public health. Also manages the Clinton Foundation. Clinton Foundation is based in New York, though, isn't it? Not that she can't travel. I'm sure she does. And DC and New York aren't that far apart. Tyrone will be back. Well, I hope you will. Hopefully you'll also check out some of the other videos I do. I don't know if you're a collector of things, if you're into stamps or post-crossing or just like travel stuff. I do all sorts of different things, so hopefully you'll check it out and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Love to hear from you. Calico Heart says she's earned her age. She's in her 50s. We have all earned our age, whether it's with our lack of hair, whether it's our gray hair, whether it's a little bit of a belly. Yeah, all sorts of things that show our age. Nothing to be worried about. Oh, Gary was a geocacher. I was here on Nova Scotia PEI for a week. All right, you'll have to come back. There's more geocaching. Actually, last summer we had a meetup in Fredericton, and it was a joint meetup with geocachers. So that was an interesting thing. I didn't do any geocaching, but I did go to the event just to be a part of the post-crossing meetup. Stephen had a birthday earlier this week. Happy belated birthday. Yes, there was a big mega. Were you part of that? Were you in Fredericton? No, you said you didn't go to Fredericton. But yeah, there was a big event for geocaching here. Roger is catching up to you, Stephen. He's only 2 years behind you now. Did you have some cake, Stephen? Was there something to celebrate food-wise? You know I love a good dessert, so. You should have done. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, I probably shouldn't sing happy birthday. Maybe that's what you can tip for, singing. Roger says he looks 55. Well, that's good. Sometimes I don't know how old I look. I look like me, so I can't tell whether it's a young age or an old age. Maybe it's the given day. It depends. Calico Heart says, given the age reveals, yes, we're kind of all in that same kind of generation. But I do know some that are in their 20s and 30s that do post crossing. I've had cards from kids that say they're in high school or in elementary school. So it does appeal to different age groups. But I think those of us that remember mailing and sending letters and corresponding that way, it does appeal to us more because it is a throwback to a time gone by when everything wasn't instantaneous. So when we couldn't just send an email or an instant message and get a response right away, we had to wait. So I do believe you're right that there's part of our age groups that post crossing does appeal to. But that being said, the younger generations that are finding it for the first time. They haven't had the experience of getting letters and mail sent to them on a regular basis, so it is something new, and so I think that there's an appeal there for them too. Gary found my channel because it was rekindled stamp interest. Okay, that's great. It's interesting to see how people find the channel, whether it's through post crossing, whether it's stamps, whether it's the train shows I've been to, whether it's the car shows I've gone to, whether it's just exploring the Maritimes I do too. So I love hearing how people find my channel. And Tyrone, who says he was just scrolling and found my channel. So that's great too, that somehow YouTube is pushing my channel as well. Oh, so Media has sent postcards to 3 people that were in their 20s this week. Calico Heart says, I think you have a point about us older. I mean, we're not older. We're mature, are we not? Well, I'm not mature. I'm immature. I'm an immature old person, I guess. And Gary's been collecting for stamps for over 60 years on and off. That's amazing. So you probably have binders like this too, like my father's collection that have stuff. Well, if you ever find you have a need for exchanging, you can reach out to me. You can always go through Instagram too to reach out to me as well, Gary. So I've got duplicates of things that people have sent me that might fit in your collection. That's the great thing about this community is everybody's very generous. Everybody's willing to share. I have people that send me blank postcards that help me with my post crossing, stickers, stamps, and I likewise do the same thing back when I can. So that's great. And Stephen says he's been sending postcards to a wide range of people from their 20s to their 80s. Yeah, there's a lot of people, Ida Marie, that are turning their postcards into a bit of mail art. Anyone who's created, well, you can take a standard postcard, I'll show you this one again, and by putting washi tape and stickers, you can create something new. Those that design their own, whether it's from a box of cereal or cookies, and then create something. Some people take blank Bristol board and draw their own pictures on it and create an original piece. All those things I think are fantastic. Anytime that you can showcase your talent. I've seen people that have fabric and sewn things on too. Amazing what people can come up with. There you go. Gary's carrying on a tradition. He concentrates mostly on Canada. Collage postcards coming out of Asia, just amazing. You know, Calico Hearts is mail art. You know, there's Gary's going on a cruise to Alaska. Fantastic. In September. So you'll be on a cruise the same time I'm on a cruise. If you concentrate mostly on Canada, your collection must be pretty complete after 60 years. Other than maybe the really brutally expensive ones. I would love to get some stamps from the British Columbia. From British Columbia that came out. I have some New Brunswick, I have Nova Scotia, I have some PEI, I've got lots of Newfoundland. But there's none of my collection from BC. Mostly because of the price, of course. Ida Marie, what are you doing in 2025? I missed something along the way. Are you going on a cruise? Is that what you're saying? And if so, where are you thinking about going? We have been doing this for an hour and a half now, going strong. People are, Rob, will you do a travel mode on your cruise? No, I probably won't do a travel mode on my cruise. One, I probably won't have the time, I don't think, to be writing postcards while I'm away. And two, I'm there to spend time with my wife and celebrate our 50th. She's allowing me to make videos, so I will take that I can do that. But bringing post-crossing and writing postcards while I'm away, I think I should be spending more time with my wife and exploring things, so probably not doing a travel mode. Oh, Ida Marie is thinking about doing the Alaska cruise as well in 2025. Okay. My parents did the Alaska cruise once. They really enjoyed it. Got to see whales when they were going up amongst the islands on the Canadian side. I don't know if they saw them when they were when they crossed in the US, but I think going up from Vancouver they did. John said he got one of his Patreon members who sent him a postcard from the farthest east post office in Newfoundland. It had a special cancellation too. Fantastic. Just beyond St. John's, Newfoundland would be the furthest eastern point in Newfoundland. Yes, those are the only provinces to issue their own stamps. Because after that, they were all Canada after that point. So the Atlantic provinces were around. Check. Before I spout that out as 100% accuracy, I best double check something real quick. What else are we saying here? I think we'll have a fabulous time, and yeah, it's great that Shanda's very supportive of that too. So Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Islands. Yeah, we talked about those. British Columbia and Vancouver Island. Yeah, that's it. Nobody else issued stamps. There were upper Canadian stamps or lower Canadian stamps, and none of the other provinces, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, they never got into it. And John says, yes, he's in St. John's. Yeah, I haven't been to the furthest east post office, but I have been to the furthest east point in Canada when I got to go over to Newfoundland in my younger years. I do have a cousin that lives over there. Ryder is the only stamp collector in his immediate family, let alone collector in anything else. Mail art lover, you've joined. How are things in Chile? See, we are completely from all over the place right now. We have America, we have America, I'm in America, North America. We have the United States of America, we have Chile, we have Canada, we have Great Britain, Australia, Finland's been here, Germany has been here, Greece is here. I don't have any of my Asian country people on right now. Well, John, you really have to come to Canada sometime if you get the opportunity. Yeah, pre-Confederation stamps. There wasn't a lot of, 1867s when Canada became a country, and the first postage stamp came out in 1840 in Great Britain. So you're only talking a 27-year period of potential stamps in there. Gary, do you have many stamps pre-Confederation? It's okay. I'm glad that you've got a chance to come on. I know you work on the weekends, so it's not always possible for you to make it to these live streams. Are you having something delicious for lunch? Oh, you can't be with your phone while you're working? It makes sense, though. Oh, and when I was looking up if you were Scott catalog, that's when I was looking up real quick to confirm my thoughts, and I just threw that on the floor. I'll have to fix that. There. I didn't want the pages all to be bent in the book. I thought I could land right on top of the pile, and it ricocheted off. Well, you're welcome. Media says she's visited Toronto and went to Niagara Falls for a day too. That was when Finnair had a direct flight from Helsinki. How's your collection of Newfoundland stamps, Gary? I recently got a bunch of Newfoundland stamps, so if that's something you're interested in trading, I've got some. What is it? All right, I'm going to pull it out again. Scott catalog. These are the catalogs of all the stamps of the world. So this is C through F in this one particular catalog from 2009. So as stamp collectors, we usually have something like this or Stanley Gibbons. But it tells you, if someone sends you a stamp. So this stamp was sent to me by Media from Finland. I can go in and look under Finland. If it's pre-2009 at least, it'll show in the catalog and let me know where it is. So when we put it in our books back there, we can put them in order. That's what most people use. Some version, whether it's Scott or one of the others. Ida Marie says, Niagara Falls, the best, seen the falls on both sides. I think Canada has the better side to see it because we've got the Horseshoe Falls, but I have seen it on both sides too. So yes, it is a magnificent waterfall. And you're right. Stanley Gibbons and Scott, synonymous. They go together. Very different companies, yep. Ida Marie collects Falls vintage cards. I don't know if I've got any vintage cards, but I do have lots of Niagara Falls that my brother Eric sent me, who lives in Toronto. Gary uses the Unitrade catalog for Canada. Okay. Yeah, the thing about Niagara Falls, on the Canadian side, it has like theme park type stuff all over the place. The Ripley's, believe it or not, the Madame Tussauds, wax museums. Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. It's very touristy, but lots of shopping around too. Well, Gary, I don't know if I've got any stamps that maybe are missing from your collection or not. You probably are quite complete after 60 years. So yeah, we've jumped topics. We talked about Scott catalogs, Niagara Falls, stamp collecting, and vintage cards all within a short period of time. What do you think? Are we getting near the end? Have we run our course for today? I don't want people to get bored and think that oh, we're just rambling now. As long as there's comments coming in and things that we can talk about, I don't mind continuing. But I know people have things to do, whether it's people at work. Yeah, I'm not sure how many total people have been watching this live, but uh, currently I think it's showing we have 14. So whether we've had more than 20, 22, I think is the maximum amount all at one time that we've had watching it while it's live. That's kind of my record to beat in the first thing. One great thing or one new thing about this, someone sent